Hey everyone, PrinceBrightstar here, and it's time for a channel update. I need to get real with you. I'm sure some of you have noticed the downtick in content over the past half a year or so, where I've been going multiple weeks without content. This all goes back to how over 4 years ago, I made a promise to all of you that I'd take better care of myself when I went in for surgery at the time. Since then, I've been through a myriad of testing with various doctors to ensure nothing was missed. This was largely driven by my family history, and while there have been some minor things that had been found that required me to make some adjustments in my life, nothing was particularly serious. But if that was all that had happened, I wouldn't be making this video. Late last year, I received a recommendation from my dentist to get some other stuff checked out. Aside from learning I had sleep apnea, there was also a tumor that was found. Now, at the time, it appeared to be benign, and that was something the doctor said would typically be left alone, given its status and where it was located. However, after further tests, including an MRI scan, it was determined that what was seen in the initial tumor was actually something much larger, something life-changing. And this was despite there being no real symptoms that I had noticed. To this day, I haven't had any real weight loss or anything to signal that this thing was cancerous. I've grown more tired over the past several years, but I'm 42 years old now. That could simply be aging. The tumor, however, as I mentioned before, is not in a good place, and though it appears to have grown slowly over the past 20 years, and all tests still show it to be benign, it has started pressing against vital organs which could lead to premature death, regardless of there being no signs of cancer. Which is why I've made the difficult decision, despite the risks and how my life may never be the same again, to proceed with surgery for this thing. I'm lucky that I'm young enough that while I'll be down for a while, I should be able to bounce back. Let me be clear though, this is a much more serious and complicated surgery compared to last time. In June, they will literally be opening me up and deciding among one of two possible approaches. I'm lucky that this isn't cancerous, but given that it is life-threatening, I have no choice. I want my life back, and I can't leave this hanging over my head, leaving me in fear that I might have unfinished work when it finally does me in. So what does this mean for the channel? First, know that there is a real risk of failure with this surgery, including death, as with most surgeries. My risk level is low, however, despite this, should the worst happen and I pass away on the operating table because of how complicated it is, I have scheduled for 3 months from now a video to release as my final gift and farewell to you. There is something in my possession that I have held on to for over a decade as lost media for Phantasy Star that I've been trying to get the help of the community to translate over the past several years. Unfortunately, I have had trouble finding anyone to help me bring this video to completion. To this day, I don't really trust the tools available online for translation. This is a learned behavior from trying to get accurate translations back in the 2000s during Phantasy Star Online's run. Perhaps the tools have improved, but I still suspect nuance is a problem. If it wasn't, wouldn't translating a game from Japanese be a simple matter that anyone could do? Now, as for why 3 months out, it's to allow me time to get out of the hospital and somewhat recovered. If all goes well, I plan to communicate as soon as possible that I am okay. However, the surgery is complicated enough that I'll be out for most of the day under sedation during and after the surgery. I'll need time to get my whereabouts. There's also a significant risk of post-op complications, so the only thing you should take from a thumbs up is that I made it through surgery. If I make it home and recovery is going well, let's say a month later, I'll then stop the distribution of the video, as I should be well past anything dangerous in the recovery by then. This brings me to my next point. Until I am through surgery, have recovered, and I'm given the okay by my doctors, all activity on the channel will cease immediately. This includes Day Dawn's arcs. In addition, the yearly goal of having 52 pieces of content in a year is suspended indefinitely until otherwise re-implemented. The road to full recovery on this kind of surgery is very long, often between 1 to 3 months for initial recovery and final recovery, as in feeling back to normal, taking somewhere around a year or even longer. My job has to take priority first. Once that is stable, I will look at when I can return to regular content on the channel. Even if I can't stream for a while, I'll look at this when I can as an opportunity to go back to producing long-form videos again, similar to how I originally handled the Phantasy Star Online 2 Let's Play, or at the very least, writing scripts for videos. I've had some ideas of what I could do for some time that I haven't had the opportunity to enact on. Just don't expect anything for a while. If I had a choice, the latest I would want to return to producing content is when Chapter 9 of PSO2 NGS releases, but I will leave it up to my doctors to decide when it is safe for me to add to my workload above my job. Even then, I may not be capable of handling something action-oriented like PSO2 NGS just quite yet. I'll leave it to future me to decide. I will note, however, there shouldn't be any restrictions on me at least chatting in my Discord linked in the description below. That said, I'll be on the Discord as much as possible up until the day they take me to the operating room. Though I'm still several weeks away from the actual surgery, I have many very serious things that need to happen in my personal life at this time in preparation for the surgery, and I can't let producing content get in the way. It's a real shame that I'm going to be missing out on several game launches during this time, but I have no choice on this. I do this or I die early. I can only hope after healing that my quality of life is better than it is now, but I know depending on how the surgeons decide to tackle this thing, at least one part will be significantly worse for the rest of my life. I'll talk more about it if it comes to that in the end, but unfortunately it's not something they can decide until they get inside me. I know I have unfinished projects, Phantasy Star Nova and Phantasy Star Online 2S. Had this not been found, I intended to address those starting this year. Hopefully I will still be able to finish what I started and put checkmarks on this whole chart. We recently learned Phantasy Star Universe Episode 3 will be a thing on the Astrum server, and I want to finish what I started with that sub-series as well. If I can be a little selfish here, I have one call to action for everyone. If you're over the age of 30 and you've never had an MRI scan, talk to your doctor about getting yourself checked out and follow what they recommend. It's not a common thing to do a scan like that preventatively in the medical field, and other tests do exist. However, in my case, I was simply unlucky that those tests never revealed anything because of the non-cancerous nature of what I've got. Like I said before, it's believed this thing has been in me for at least the past 20 years, and I'm over 40 now. I never knew it was there, and to this day still don't feel the thing as an entity inside. I wish I had, so it could have been addressed earlier and without as an extensive surgery being necessary. With all that said, thank you for joining me today. This is PrinceBrightstar signing off, and with all luck, I will see you all again soon.